Hello and welcome. This is the Market Wrap on BloombergQuint Live. Let's take a look at how the markets have done today and what they have done through the course of the week. Let's start by taking a look at the weakness that was evident in the markets today with a drop of around nearly 0.8%. But don't forget, it's been a reasonably steady market. But for now, the Nifty, well, down at around and just shy of the 12,100 mark. We did see a lot of gains in Bharti Infratel, Adani Ports, Bharti Airtel. HDFC Bank is the big heavyweight leading or perhaps keeping in check the fall that we've seen in the Nifty today. But on the losing end, Z Entertainment falling as much as 8%. We have more trouble out there. Hindustan Unilever, Dr. Reddy's and Tata Motors along with M&M among others losing out in trade. What about the broader markets? Let's take a look at how things are shaping up in the Nifty 500. And we do have Adani Transmission, a handful of Adani Group companies actually doing very well in today's day of trade, and Adani Gas mix that list as well, along with Adani Port. Gayatri Projects are locked in upper circuit around 10%. Future Consumer doing very well in trade today too. Dish TV, on the other hand, down 20%. Well, it's been an extremely volatile week for Dish TV. Indiabulls Housing Finance, quite a bit of a U-turn after the kind of 25% up move that we saw yesterday. And of course, we also have Indiabulls Real Estate along with a handful of other companies from the Indiabulls pack. But moving on, let's take a look at how markets have done this week. And is been relatively volatile, but as one might imagine, given the fact that Nifty moved and closed at record levels through the course of the week, and we also saw the Nifty make an intraday high, of course. Well, the Nifty on a weekly basis has not seen as much of, well, a depreciation. So largely flattish, marginally in the red. Bharti Infratel, Yes Bank, UPL and IndusInd Bank among the top gainers through the course of the week. And we have, well, weakness in Z Entertainment, Grasim Industries, L&T looking at substantial weakness along with Cipla. What about the broader markets? Let's take a look at that as well. Perhaps a few, mid-cap names. And we have IIFL making a sharp up move. Magma FimCorp, Adani Green moving from strength to strength. Future Consumer, Gayatri Projects, all looking at substantial gains coming through. On the losing end, Dish TV, Z Entertainment, some of your usual suspects. But Reddington India declines by as much as 13%. Despite some good news, well, earlier in the week, Renuka Sugars, Fine Organic Industries down as much as 9%. Now, these are just some of the names that moved through the course of the week, but let's talk about all the events which also shaped up world trading. And I'm going to start off with Monday, where we had Subhash Chandra, who resigned as the chairman of Z Entertainment. And that, of course, was the biggest news which moved Z Entertainment. Moving on, we also had Paytm, which was in focus, and it's raised another $1 billion through SoftBank and, of course, one of the other Chinese firms, that's Ant Financial. Moving on to Tuesday, we also have CSB Bank IPO, which has had a blockbuster subscription, 87 times overall, and that is quite a bit for the latest IPOs, and some of them have been doing quite well too. But moving on, we have RBL Bank, which has announced a 1,500 crore fundraising. This will be a mix of preferential share allotments along with, QIP. Watch out for that. We're likely to see a lot more traction on the back of that raising. And of course, we also have Z Entertainment. After Subhash Chandra on Monday, we have more directors quit Z Entertainment, 3 to be precise, and they've cited, well, issues with respect to film advances along with related party loans. Moving on, let's also talk about the big drama that's unfolded in Maharashtra with respect to the chief minister, and we now know that Uddhav Thackeray is one. In fact, he is the first in the Thackeray family to hold a ministerial position. So it's going to be an interesting 5 years, if I can say that, for Maharashtra moving in. Moving on, we're also keeping an eye on HDFC Bank. Well, the end of Aditya Puri's tenure is now visible. And from what we understand is that it is formed a 6-member panel to appoint HDFC Bank's next managing director. Well, it's some interesting times coming up for HDFC Bank too. But of course, let's not forget the big highlight for Thursday was Reliance Industries hitting the 10 lakh crore market capitalization, the largest company by market value, and there you have it. So it's a big milestone not only for Reliance Industries but also for the Indian markets. Moving on, we've also had grants worth 21,246 odd crores tabled in the parliament, and some of that will likely be used towards the newly formed union territories of Ladakh and Jammu and Kashmir. Let's not forget there's plenty of other plenty news that did shape up the markets, but from there on, where do we go and what levels can we watch out for? Don't forget, it was expiry week, so we did see a lot of traction with respect to options. And speaking of options, at this point in time, what we're watching out for is the 12,000 put. Is the one with the maximum open interest, and that should give you some sort of support at this point in time. Don't forget the Nifty has closed at 12,056 to be precise. So this level is going to be very, very important. Why? Because we don't have too much going in so far as the lower end is concerned. On the higher end, it is likely to be 12,500 because of the accumulation in the 12,500 call. So that's as far as your levels are concerned. But as far, moving on from levels to other factors that we can also watch out for as we move into next week. Of course, right at the top we have India and Japan, which will hold their first ministerial 2+2 dialogue. And of course, the first phase of Jharkhand elections will also be underway, where it will be in 5 phases, and of course it will be carried out over a course of 20 days. So that of course should be important when it comes to the geopolitics of India. Markets will also react to the second quarter GDP numbers, the relatively bigger economic data point that markets are going to be watching out for, which will be of course reported today in a few hours from now. And don't forget, Ujjivan Small Finance Bank's IPO, the 750 crore IPO, will also open for subscription. This has been in the works for a really, really long time, and I know a lot of participants will be looking forward to this IPO as well. But moving on, we also have the manufacturing PMI data, which will be announced on Monday. So again, another important economic factor to watch out for. We will also have the services PMI data, which will be released on Wednesday. And that will also set the tone for how services has been doing in India. And perhaps finally, the most important one is on Thursday, RBI's monetary policy. That should, of course, have a lot of implications with respect to interest rate trajectory, and of course, in the build up to that, we're going to watch out for not only the banking index but also the 10-year yields as well as the Indian rupee in tow. So there is plenty to keep an eye on as we move into next week. On that note, it's a wrap on the markets, but there's a lot more lined up. Stay tuned to BloombergQuint.